Welcome to a journey of discovery, where we unravel the secrets of achieving perfect hydrangea blooms. These vibrant plants with their stunning flowers have captivated gardeners and nature lovers alike for centuries. Hydrangeas native to Asia and America are renowned for their large, full blooms that come in a spectrum of colors, from the palest pinks to the deepest blues. There's a fascinating variety in the world of hydrangeas. From the big leaf varieties, also known as French hydrangeas, to the oak leaf climbing and panicle hydrangeas, each type brings its own unique charm to your garden. The diverse colors they produce are not just a feast for the eyes, but they're also a reflection of the soil in which they grow. Yes, you heard it right. The soil's acidity can actually influence the color of your hydrangea blooms. Intriguing, isn't it? Now that we know a little about these beautiful plants, let's dive into the first step: planting. The journey to perfect blooms starts with proper planting. When it comes to hydrangeas, location truly is everything. These beauties thrive in areas that offer a blend of sun and shade. Morning sunlight with afternoon shade provides the ideal balance. Too much sun can scorch the leaves, while too much shade can lead to weak growth and fewer blooms. Now let's talk soil. Hydrangeas prefer well-draining soil. They aren't fans of wet feet, and sitting in waterlogged soil can lead to root rot. A good test for drainage is to dig a hole about a foot deep, fill it with water, and see how long it takes to drain. If it takes more than 4 hours, you may need to amend your soil or consider raised beds. As for soil type, hydrangeas are pretty adaptable, but they do prefer a slightly acidic to neutral pH. You can adjust the pH of your soil with additives like compost or peat moss to increase acidity, or lime to make it more alkaline. And remember, planting depth matters. When you plant your hydrangea, make sure the top of the root ball is level with or slightly above the surface of the soil. Planting too deep can suffocate the roots, while planting too high can dry them out. With the right location and soil, you're off to a great start. Next, we turn to watering. Water is life, and this couldn't be truer for your hydrangeas. These lush, vibrant plants have a unique relationship with H2O. They thrive when their thirst is quenched just right, but they can also suffer if they're either overwatered or underwatered. Hydrangeas are like Goldilocks. They don't want too much water or too little. They want it just right. The key lies in maintaining consistent soil moisture. They love moist, well-draining soil, but not soggy conditions. So, how do you know when your hydrangeas are thirsty? A simple trick is to check the top inch of soil. If it feels dry to the touch, it's time to water. But don't just splash it on. Slow, deep watering is the way to go. This helps the water reach the roots, ensuring they get their fill without drowning. During hot, dry spells, hydrangeas might need watering every day. But don't let this fool you into thinking they need a daily drink year-round. In cooler, wetter periods, you might only need to water them once a week or even less. And if you're growing your hydrangeas in pots, they'll need extra attention. Container plants dry out faster, so check the soil daily. If the top inch is dry, it's time to water. Remember, balance is key when it comes to watering. Now let's talk about pruning. Pruning is crucial for your hydrangea's health and the abundance of their blooms. But what's the best way to do it? Let's dive right in. First, it's important to understand that the timing of your pruning depends on the variety of your hydrangea. For instance, old wood hydrangeas like oak leaf and big leaf bloom on last year's branches. Therefore, they should be pruned shortly after they finish blooming, typically in late summer. Now, how do you prune them? Start by removing all dead or damaged wood. Next, trim back a third of the oldest stems at the base to encourage new growth and fuller blooms. Remember, sharp and clean tools are a must to prevent disease transmission. On the other hand, new wood hydrangeas, such as smooth and panicle, bloom on new growth. They are best pruned in late winter or early spring, before the new growth begins. You can be a bit more aggressive with these varieties, even pruning them back to a foot or two above the ground. This stimulates vigorous growth and larger flowers. One common mistake to avoid is over-pruning. Removing too much of the plant can stress it and reduce blooming. So, less is often more when it comes to pruning hydrangeas. By following these steps, you can ensure your hydrangeas are pruned properly, promoting healthier plants and more abundant, vibrant blooms. Pruning done right guarantees healthy growth. Up next, a little trick to change your bloom colors. Did you know you can change the color of your hydrangeas? It's all about the pH. Yes, you heard right. The color of hydrangea blooms is determined by the pH level of the soil they're planted in. So how does this work? Well, in simple terms, pH is a measure of how acidic or alkaline your soil is. A pH below 7 is considered acidic, while a pH above 7 is alkaline. Now, hydrangeas are pretty fascinating. If they're planted in acidic soil with a pH less than 7, the blooms will be blue. But if they're in alkaline soil with a pH higher than 7, the blooms will be pink. So how can you change the soil pH? Two common ways are using aluminum sulfate to make the soil more acidic and garden lime to make it more alkaline. To get blue blooms, sprinkle aluminum sulfate around the base of your hydrangeas. For pink blooms, do the same with garden lime. Remember, it's essential to water well after adding either of these, and changes won't happen overnight. It may take a few weeks or even a season for your hydrangeas to show their new colors, but patience pays off, and soon enough, you'll see the magic happen. With a little tweak in pH, you can have a color party right in your garden. Now let's talk about feeding your hydrangeas. Feeding your hydrangeas is essential for their growth and bloom. Just like us, plants need a balanced diet to thrive. For hydrangeas, this includes a good mix of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, along with trace elements like magnesium and iron. Now let's talk about fertilizers. There's a wide variety to choose from, but slow-release granular fertilizers are a favorite among hydrangea enthusiasts. They gradually release nutrients into the soil, providing a steady food supply for your plants. Alternatively, you can opt for liquid fertilizers. These are faster acting and easy to apply, but they need to be used more frequently. When it comes to feeding your hydrangeas, timing is everything. The best time to fertilize is in the early spring, just as your hydrangeas are starting to leaf out. A second feeding in midsummer can give your plants an extra boost, but be sure to stop fertilizing by August. Any later, and you risk stimulating new growth that could be damaged by winter frosts. Remember, more is not always better. Over-fertilizing can lead to weak, leggy plants and fewer flowers. It's like overeating. It doesn't do you any good, and it's the same for your hydrangeas. With the right nutrients, your hydrangeas will thrive, but beware of pests and diseases. They can turn your beautiful blooms into a gardener's nightmare. But don't worry, we've got you covered in our next segment. Pests and diseases can be a gardener's worst nightmare. But don't worry, your hydrangeas don't have to fall prey to these garden invaders. Common pests like aphids, spider mites, and Japanese beetles can be a nuisance, nibbling on leaves and causing unsightly damage. Natural remedies such as introducing beneficial insects like ladybugs can be a great first line of defense. Diseases too can pose a threat. Powdery mildew, leaf spot, and root rot are among the usual suspects. These can cause discoloration, wilting, and even plant death if left unchecked. Regular inspection of your plants can help you spot these issues early. If natural methods aren't enough, don't hesitate to use chemical treatments. Fungicides can help combat diseases, while insecticides can tackle those pesky pests. Remember, prevention is always better than cure. With these tips, you can keep your hydrangeas healthy and lush. Let's wrap things up. We've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From planting your hydrangeas in the right location to understanding their watering needs, pruning techniques, and soil pH adjustments. We've also delved into fertilizing and feeding and how to manage pests and diseases. Armed with these tips, you're well on your way to having vibrant hydrangea blooms. Now it's your turn to put these tips to use. Don't forget to share your hydrangea stories with us and subscribe for more gardening tips. Until next time, happy gardening. Happy